today we are going to be talking about le passé composé, which is the past tense. We're going to quickly review the past tense of regular verbs, which you would have done in grade 8, and then we will move on to le passé composé des verbes irréguliers, which is the past tense of irregular verbs. So, a quick review. Révisons les temps de verbe. Can you tell me what tense this sentence is in? Je mange de la pizza. Present, past, future. If you said future, present, you are correct, le présent. And this sentence, tu vas faire tes devoirs. That is in the future proche. Nous irons au cinéma demain soir. Present, future, past, impératif. If you said future simple, you are correct. Faites attention. What tense is this sentence in? Note the lack of pronoun and think back to Unit 1 when we did directions. Oui, c'est impératif. Et maintenant, cette phrase est au quel temps? What tense is this phrase in? If you said passé composé, you are correct. Elle a mangé de la pizza. And this one, nous avons fini la présentation. Passé composé again. Ils ont vendu leur maison. Present, past, future, impératif. If you said passé composé, again, you are correct. All of these are examples of regular passé composé. You have the verb avoir before the past participle. In this case, the first sentence is the verb manger. In the second sentence, you have avoir and then the past participle of the verb finir, which is fini. And in the third, you have the avoir, which is the o, before the past tense of the verb vendre, which is vendu. So let us review how to conjugate the passé composé for regular verbs. First, you have the auxiliary verb, which will be the verb avoir, and then you will have the participe passé, or the past tense of the verb you are conjugating. Here's an example for ER verbs. Nous avons parlé. So you have the pronoun nous, then you conjugate avoir with nous, which is nous avons, and then the past participle of parler is parler with e accent aigu. For an IR verb, you take off the R and the ending on the past participle is I. So you have elles ont fini. They finished. Notice I have conjugated avoir with elle pluriel and then the past participle. And for RE verbs, like the verb perdre, you take off the RE on the end and add a U, and it becomes, in this case, j'ai perdu mes clés. I lost my keys. So I've conjugated the verb avoir with je, and then I have put the proper ending on the verb perdre. Let's look at this a little more closely. So for regular verbs in the past tense, if it's an ER verb, the ending becomes E accent aigu. You have to conjugate it with avoir, like we've done here. J'ai mangé. For IR verbs, the IR becomes an I. Again, you must conjugate it with avoir and then put the I ending on the verb. So for the verb finir, it becomes j'ai fini. And for RE verbs, the RE becomes an U at the end. You conjugate it with the pronoun with avoir, in this case je, so it is j'ai perdu. So these are easy rules for regular verbs in the past tense. ER becomes E accent aigu, IR becomes I, RE becomes U, a U. But what do we do with les verbes irréguliers, irregular verbs? Fantastique, madame, nous avons hâte de les apprendre. Fantastic, madame, we are looking forward to learning them. Well, even if you aren't, sit back because you're going to anyway. So there's nothing really to do with irregular verbs except memorize the list. So here we've combined the verbs on your list in groups that are somewhat similar. So the first group, the verbs, the past participle will end in IS. You will still use avoir, but you need to change the past participle, and they look like this. You might want to pause the video here to fill it in. The verb prendre becomes pris. Now you still have avoir, so it's il a pris. He took. Comprendre, il a compris. apprendre, il a appris. Notice these first three verbs are really all the same verb. All you need to do is add com at the front and ap, and they are basically the same verb. Same with the next three. We have mettre, which becomes mis. Il a mis, he put. Admettre, il a admis, he admitted, as in he admitted that he stole the book. Commettre, il a commis, he committed. He committed to making an effort to try to do better in his classes. Again, although this is a list of 6 verbs, it's really just a list of 2 because mettre, admettre, and commettre, really they just have a different prefix on the front. So those are verbs that end in is. The next group end in u, and there's a lot of them. Avoir, il a eu. Boire, il a bu. Courir, il a couru. Devoir, il a dû. Lire, il a lu. Pouvoir, il a pu. Recevoir, il a reçu. Voir, il a vu. Vouloir, il a voulu. Et savoir, il a su. So again, you still conjugate avoir with the pronoun, and then the past participle changes, and there's very little pattern. This group ends in a U, but otherwise these endings need to just be memorized. Être est toute seule. Être doesn't have any other verbs that look like it. It looks like this. It becomes été, like the word summer, but it means was. Il a été. He was. The next group ends in it. We have faire, dire, et écrire. So, il a fait, he made or he did. Dire, il a dit, he said. Et écrire, il a écrit, he wrote. The next group ends in ert. We have ouvrir, découvrir, et souffrir. So, ouvrir becomes il a ouvert, he opened. Découvrir, il a découvert, he discovered. Souffrir, il a souffert, he suffered. Ok, so ça c'est tous les verbes. Et la seule chose à faire, c'est de pratiquer. Really, the only thing you can do to help yourself memorize these is to practice them. Practice saying them, practice writing them, reading them. So what you should do at this point is pause the video after the question is put up and see if you can fill in the answers yourself. Numéro 1, c'est le verbe mettre avec ma tante. Au passé composé, c'est ma tante a mis une tarte sur la table. My aunt put a pie on the table. Voir avec je sais, j'ai vu mon amie Antoinette la semaine passée. Comprendre with il pluriel, c'est ils ont compris. Mais c'est négatif, alors ils n'ont pas compris un seul mot que Madame Wideman a dit. They didn't understand a single word Madame Wideman said. If Madame Matthewson said it, they probably would have understood it. Now note here the ne pas, the negative for the passé composé, the ne pas goes around just the one verb, the auxiliary verb, which in this case is avoir. You won't have 2 verbs inside the ne pas, just one. Ils n'ont pas compris. Next question, c'est avoir avec nous. Alors, c'est nous avons eu un accident de voiture. We had a car accident. Savoir avec vous. Est-ce que vous avez su la réponse du numéro 6? Did you know the answer to number 6? Et faire avec Monique. Monique n'a pas fait ses devoirs avec son frère. That's it. We will go over more of this in class, but it might be a good idea to make up some flashcards or to use Quizlet to help you memorize these because there's a lot of different past participles.